Welcome, wanderers of the weird, to Paranormal Nightshift, the show where the veil between reality and the unexplained is pulled back, and the shadows whisper truths most dare not hear. This is the place where fan-submitted stories take center stage, and the paranormal isn't just a possibility, it's a presence. I'm your host, Gideon, your guide through the chilling, the eerie, and the absolutely unexplainable. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or somewhere in between, one thing's for certain: when the night falls, things begin to stir. But before we plunge into tonight's tale, I've got something special just for you. Head over to paranormalnightshift.com and grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in our thrilling new series. Follow Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman, a ghost-hardened cowboy with the power to walk between timelines, as he unravels paranormal mysteries across past and present. If you're a fan of time travel, ghosts and gunfights in haunted places, trust me, you don't want to miss it. Now, let's dim the lights and descend back into the shadows. Tonight's story is one that lingers long after the encounter is over. It comes from one of our listeners, Blake, whose brush with the unknown wasn't a fleeting moment, but a solid, terrifying confrontation with something that defied explanation. This is The Man in the Hat. Now, let's begin tonight's story. I had just moved to a new city and was getting my feet under me. My buddy had offered me a place to stay at his mum's house until I could get my spot. The setup wasn't bad at all. We stayed in the basement, and another one of our close friends lived down there too. It was tight quarters, but it worked. The house itself was older and had a certain character to it. You know, the kind of home that holds memories deep in the walls. My friend had grown up there, and every once in a while I'd hear stories, quick little mentions about strange things happening upstairs, especially a shadow that liked to hang around the hallway. No one ever made a big deal about it. They talked about it like it was just normal. Now, I've had a few paranormal experiences growing up, so I wasn't quick to laugh it off. I was a little intrigued. A shadowy hallway figure? I'd seen my fair share of odd things, but I was curious what this house had in store for me. I didn't have to wait long. It was just a regular night. We'd all finished up dinner, joked around, played some games, and eventually called it a night. Everyone went to bed, and I crashed on the couch in the basement. Nothing unusual, until I woke up. I don't know what time it was. The middle of the night, for sure. The basement was pitch black, except for the soft glow of a nightlight in the hall. And as I opened my eyes, trying to figure out what woke me, I saw something at the foot of the couch. It wasn't a blur. It wasn't a trick of the light. There was a full-body figure standing there. It was tall and lean, made entirely of mist, almost transparent, but still held enough shape to make out details. And the detail that stood out the most? He was wearing a wide-brimmed hat. We just stared at each other. I was completely frozen, unable to move, to speak. Not because I was paralyzed, but because my brain couldn't compute what I was seeing. There was no fear at first, just this overwhelming sense of, okay, this is happening. I don't know how long we looked at each other. It felt like minutes, though I'm sure it was only seconds. And then, doing what probably every horror movie has trained us not to do, I pulled the classic blanket over the head move. I hid, trembling under the covers, and just waited it out. Eventually, I fell asleep, or passed out. I'm still not sure which. Every morning we'd all meet in the kitchen upstairs, grab coffee and talk about work, and the day ahead, usual roommate stuff. But that morning, I had to tell them, so I started recounting the story. I told them, "Man, I saw something crazy last night. I woke up and there was this guy just standing at the end of the couch." And that's when my basement roommate, without missing a beat, walks up the stairs, smirking, and says, "You saw the man in the hat, didn't you?" I stopped mid-sentence. Yeah, I said slowly, stunned. That's exactly who I saw. Turns out he had seen the same figure multiple times over the years. Same build, same hat, same presence. No one had ever told me about the hat before. That little detail, something I hadn't even gotten to share yet, validated everything. It wasn't just my imagination. I wasn't dreaming. I had seen him too. And suddenly I realized I had a new roommate, one that didn't pay rent and didn't seem thrilled that I was crashing on his couch. Fast forward a month or two. By this point, I'd accepted the man in the hat as part of the house. He wasn't popping up every night or anything, but I always had this lingering awareness, that feeling of being watched. One day, I got home from work a little earlier than everyone else, headed downstairs, fired up the Xbox, ready to unwind. My buddy's mum came downstairs not long after. She was super cool, always chatting with us about the day, work, whatever. We both worked in the automotive field, so we'd usually swap stories about busted parts, nightmare customers, and the usual grease monkey stuff. In the middle of our conversation, we heard it, a loud crash from the other side of the basement. Now, the basement was split down the middle, our little living space on one side, and the laundry and storage area on the other. There was no one else home, just her and me. So we went to check it out, and that's when we saw it. A huge 100-piece socket set, easily 10 to 15 pounds, had been thrown across the room. It wasn't just dropped or tipped over. The thing had been sitting on a stand on the far side of the basement, the one opposite the laundry area. Now the whole set was scattered across the floor, right in front of the washer and dryer, like someone had launched it with force. We stood there in stunned silence. Then she looked at me, looked at the mess again, and said, completely calm, "That's the only violent thing he's done in 25 years. That's when it hit me. He wasn't just observing anymore. He was reacting. To me, I don't know. Maybe I overstayed my welcome. Maybe mocking his presence by sleeping on the couch had rubbed him the wrong way. I didn't see him again after that, but I always felt him. Every night, every quiet moment in that basement, there was this sense that he was there, not malicious exactly, but not indifferent either. Watching, aware. I stayed in that house for a few more months. Nothing else violent happened, no more full-body apparitions, but I never forgot that night, or the feeling of being seen by something that shouldn't exist. To this day, that experience remains the most solidifying, undeniable and chilling encounter with the paranormal I've ever had, and I'll never forget the hat. And that wraps up another thrilling journey into the unknown. Blake, thank you for stepping into the darkness and sharing your unforgettable encounter. The man in the hat is a presence that many have whispered about, but few have seen so clearly. Your story reminds us that sometimes the shadows aren't just tricks of the light. They're watching. If this episode gave you chills or made you double-check the corner of your room, consider supporting the show. Join us on Patreon for an ad-free experience, early access to new episodes, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content, including deeper dives into the dimensional Desperado universe. And don't forget, Patreon members get special perks, so there's more waiting in the shadows than you might expect. Not quite ready for Patreon? No worries. You can still support the show by subscribing to Spotify and YouTube. And while you're there, drop a comment and let us know. Have you ever encountered the man in the hat? Or has something else followed you through the night? We read every message, and your feedback fuels the show. And if you're craving more tales of the paranormal, don't forget to grab your free ebook, The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, over at paranormalnightshift.com. It's the perfect next step into our haunted world, where Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman faces spirits across space and time, and where every ghost leaves more than just a trace. Finally, if you've got a story, whether it's a whisper in the dark, a shadow that moved on its own, or a memory that just won't fade, we want to hear it. Submit your experience at paranormalnightshift.com, and maybe your voice will be the next to echo across the airwaves. Until next time, keep your senses sharp, keep your lights low, and remember, not all things that knock in the night want to be let in.